Welcome to Innovation Pulse, your quick, no-nonsense update on the latest in clean tech and EVs. First, we will cover the latest news. Uber teams up with Lucid and Nuro for 20,000 Robotaxis. Tesla navigates China's competitive market, and Lucid Motors sets an EV range world record. After this, we'll dive deep into the environmental benefits of electric vehicles in Europe and discuss the challenges facing the US market. Uber has partnered with Lucid and Nuro to introduce over 20,000 robotaxis in the next 6 years, responding to the rising demand for driverless cars. Uber will invest $300 million in Lucid, which will produce the robotaxis using Nuro's self-driving technology. The rollout begins in a major US city next year. Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi expressed excitement about making autonomous driving accessible globally. Lucid's interim CEO, Mark Winterhoff, sees this as a chance to enter a new market. Nuro, backed by Google and SoftBank, will provide Level 4 autonomous software, enabling cars to drive without human intervention under standard conditions. This initiative follows Uber's collaboration with Waymo, expanding their services in Atlanta and Austin. Lucid's 450-mile range vehicles aim to reduce costs and charge times. Testing is underway in Las Vegas, and Nuro views the project as a scalable, commercially viable robo-taxi blueprint. Up next, we're exploring Tesla's strategic adjustments in China. Tesla is adjusting its electric vehicles in China to boost sales amid competition from local manufacturers like BYD. The company applied for new licenses for a longer-range Model 3 Plus and a larger Model YL, with 3 rows of seats. The Model YL, available this fall, offers 6 seats, new features, and enhanced dimensions, but its starting price of over $50,000 may be challenging in China's competitive market. The Model 3 Plus, featuring a single motor and an advanced NMC battery, promises extended range but lacks detailed range figures. These moves come as Tesla faces a price war in China, with domestic brands introducing new models. The competition has become so fierce that the Chinese government is concerned about its economic impact. Despite Model Y production ramping up, Tesla saw a 14% global drop in vehicle deliveries. Lucid Motors set a Guinness World Record for the longest journey by an electric vehicle on a single charge, highlighting a significant step forward in electric vehicle adoption. Their Air Grand touring car traveled 1,205 kilometers from St. Moritz, Switzerland, to Munich, Germany, without stopping to charge, surpassing the previous record held by Mercedes-Benz. This remarkable journey showcased the potential of electric vehicles to overcome range anxiety and charging infrastructure issues. Driving through various terrains, the car benefited from regenerative braking. Lucid has yet to release details like speed or drive time. Umit Sabanchi, known for breaking world records, drove the car, emphasizing the achievement's role in advancing electric mobility. The Air Grand Touring offers impressive power and fast-charging capabilities, setting it apart in the luxury EV market and hinting at future advancements in more affordable models. And now, pivot our discussion towards the main clean tech topic.
Hey everyone, I'm Donna, and welcome to Innovation Pulse, where we dive deep into the tech and trends reshaping our world. Today, I've got Yakov Lasker with me, our resident transportation analyst, who somehow makes supply chains sound like spy novels.
Thanks, Donna. And speaking of spy novels, I've got to start with this mind-bending statistic that landed on my desk yesterday. Are you ready for this? Electric cars sold in Europe today produce 73% fewer greenhouse gas emissions over their entire lifetime compared to gas cars. 73%.
Wait, hold up. Their entire lifetime? You mean from manufacturing the battery all the way through to scrapping the car?
Exactly. That's the life cycle analysis part that most people miss. We're not just talking about zero tailpipe emissions anymore. We're talking about mining the lithium, building the battery, generating the electricity to charge it, everything. And even with all that factored in, we're looking at nearly 4 times less greenhouse gas emissions.
Okay, that's actually incredible. But I have to ask, why are we talking about European data? What's happening here in the US?
And that's where this story gets complicated. Because while Europe is celebrating this massive environmental win, the US is having what I can only describe as an identity crisis about electric vehicles.
How so?
Well, think of it like this. Imagine you're training for a marathon. You're making great progress. Your times are improving. People are cheering you on. Then suddenly, someone takes away your running shoes and says, "Figure it out." That's essentially what's happening to the US EV market right now.
Oh no, are we talking about those tax credits I keep hearing about?
Exactly. The 7,500 credit for new EVs and the $4,000 credit for used ones. They're getting axed by September 30th. And Donna, these aren't just nice-to-have incentives. These credits have been the primary driver of EV adoption in recent years.
But wait, didn't we just have some really positive EV news recently? I feel like I'm getting whiplash here.
You're not wrong. And this is what makes this whole situation so fascinating from an innovation perspective. Let me paint you the good news picture first. EV prices have dropped 7.4% since January 2023. Colorado and Washington State are on track to hit 30% new EV sales by 2026. Used EVs are actually starting to hold their value better, which has been a huge complaint point.
Those are substantial numbers. What's driving the price drops?
It's really a perfect storm of technological advancement and manufacturing scale. Think about it like the smartphone revolution. Remember when the first iPhone cost $600 and people thought that was insane? Now you can get incredibly powerful smartphones for a fraction of that. The same learning curve is happening with EV batteries and manufacturing processes.
That makes sense. But if the technology is improving and prices are dropping naturally, why do we still need government incentives?
That's the million-dollar question, and it gets to the heart of what economists call market externalities. Here's the thing that blew my mind when I was researching this. Fossil fuel subsidies globally were $7 trillion in 2022. $7 trillion, that's 7.1% of global GDP.
I'm sorry, what? $7 trillion? That can't be right.
I had the same reaction. But when you break it down, it starts to make sense. Most of that isn't direct cash payments to oil companies. It's what economists call undercharging. Basically, not pricing in the true cost of pollution, climate damage, and health impacts. It's like if cigarette companies didn't have to pay for lung cancer treatment costs.
So when you remove EV incentives, but keep fossil fuel subsidies, you're essentially...
You're tilting the playing field back toward the technology that's actually more expensive when you account for all the real costs. It's like having a race where one runner gets a head start and the other runner gets ankle weights.
This is starting to explain why you mentioned the US having an identity crisis. But let's go back to that European success story. What are they doing differently that's creating such dramatic results?
Great question. Europe's electricity grid is getting cleaner, much faster than ours. When you plug in an EV in Europe, there's a much higher chance that electricity is coming from wind, solar, or other renewable sources. In fact, the study found that the climate advantage of EVs in Europe has improved by 24% since 2021, just because their grid got cleaner.
So it's not just about the car itself. It's about the entire energy ecosystem supporting it.
Exactly. And this is where the story gets really interesting for innovation watchers like us. The researchers found that other technologies, hybrids, plug-in hybrids, showed marginal or no progress in reducing climate impacts. Only pure battery electric vehicles delivered the massive emission cuts they were looking for.
That's surprising to me. I thought hybrids would be at least a good stepping stone.
I thought so too. But when you really dig into the engineering, it makes sense. Hybrids are essentially carrying around two complete powertrains: gas engine, electric motor, transmission, battery pack. It's like traveling with two suitcases instead of optimizing for one really good one.
Okay, So we've got the technology working better than ever. We've got proof from Europe that this transition can deliver massive environmental benefits, but US policy is moving backwards. What does this mean for American consumers and businesses?
This is where it gets personal for anyone thinking about their next car purchase. If you're considering an EV and you can take advantage of those tax credits, you've got until September 30th. But beyond individual purchases, we're seeing something that really worries innovation economists.
What's that?
Policy whiplash. Imagine you're a company that just invested hundreds of millions of dollars in a US battery factory because the government said, we're committed to this transition, and then 18 months later they pull the rug out. As one industry expert put it, it makes companies question whether to take risks in the US market again.
That doesn't sound good for American competitiveness.
Right. And here's what's really wild. While the US is creating this uncertainty, the rest of the world is doubling down. EV sales globally are at record highs. Battery technology is advancing so fast that some new batteries can charge more than halfway in 5 minutes. Electric buses and trucks are proving cheaper to operate than diesel ones.
5 minutes? That changes everything about road trip anxiety.
Exactly. And that's just the beginning. We're looking at solid-state battery chemistries on the horizon that could be even safer and longer range. The technology curve is steep and it's accelerating.
So what should our listeners be thinking about if they're in the market for a new vehicle, either now or in the next few years?
First, if you're considering an EV and can benefit from current incentives, don't wait. Second, think about your total cost of ownership, not just a sticker price. Factor in fuel savings, maintenance costs. EVs have way fewer moving parts. And how long you plan to keep the car.
And what about the charging infrastructure piece? That always seems to come up in these conversations.
The data actually shows we're in a different world than even 2 years ago. Charging points are being built at an accelerating rate, with smart mixes of home, workplace, and public charging. Plus, as that 5-minute charging technology scales up, the whole anxiety conversation shifts dramatically.
You know what strikes me about this whole story? It sounds like we're watching two different movies play out simultaneously.
How do you mean?
Well, there's the technology and market reality movie, where EVs are getting better, cheaper, and more practical every month. And then there's the political and policy movie, where we're seeing this tug of war over incentives and regulations, and they're not necessarily following the same plotline.
That's a brilliant observation, and I think that disconnect explains why this moment feels so uncertain despite all the positive technological trends. The innovation is happening regardless of policy, but policy can dramatically accelerate or slow down adoption timelines.
So when someone asks you, should I go electric? What's your answer?
Look at your specific situation. How far do you typically drive? Where would you charge? Can you take advantage of current incentives, but also zoom out and ask yourself, where do you think this technology curve is headed? Because betting against innovation that's improving this rapidly and delivering these kinds of environmental benefits, that's historically been a losing bet.
Yakov, this has been fascinating. Any final thoughts for folks trying to navigate this transition?
The EV revolution is happening with or without perfect policy support. The question isn't whether electric vehicles will dominate transportation. The global momentum is too strong. The question is whether the US wants to lead that transition or follow it.
And that's a question we'll all be answering, one car purchase at a time. Thanks for breaking this down, Yakov.
Thanks, Donna.
I'm Donna. This has been Innovation Pulse, and we'll catch you next time when we dive into the wild world of quantum computing. Until then, keep innovating.
That's a wrap for today's podcast. We explored Uber's ambitious Robotaxi rollout with Lucid and Nuro, Tesla's strategic moves in China, and Lucid's EV record, alongside the environmental benefits of EVs in Europe and the challenges faced in the US market. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this episode with your friends and colleagues so they can also stay updated on the latest news and gain powerful insights. Stay tuned for more updates.